the Worldwide Developer Conference happened for macOS 27, iPadOS, etc., etc. It looks like they're going for more of a snow leopard approach. If you're from a long time Mac user, you'll understand what I mean. But basically, they came out with OS X Leopard, I want to say, and then Snow Leopard. And Snow Leopard wasn't a whole bunch of big new features. It was just kind of, bug fixes, smoothing things out, all that sort of thing. So this seems to be what they're going with this approach. And I think that's good. I'm kind of like, I feel like a lot of big tech companies have just been like, here's more features, here's more features, here's more features, especially AI related stuff, which there was a lot of in this, don't get me wrong. Rather than kind of just improving what's already there. And I think that's what most people want. We want improvements over giant feature upgrades year over year that are just kind of just there to look good, but maybe don't actually add anything to the user. But some of the features that they are adding that I am looking forward to is Windows and Android users can share into shared photo albums now on Apple, which is cool if you have, someone in your family that has an Apple device and they want to share photos with you, or you're all on a trip together, you want to be able to share into one photo album. What I'm curious about is, will this mean that somebody, say on Linux, could also contribute photos to the photo album? Because if it says it's on Windows as well and on Android, like I'm wondering if it's more of a web-based thing where you could use it through a browser app and then on anything. So I am curious if Linux users will be able to use this as well. I'm not optimistic that they will, but I'm curious if that's going to be an option. Another thing, as a new father, that I'm very happy to see is a lot of improvements to the parental safety controls in all of the OS updates for all of the Apple products, particularly on the iPhone, because it's a scary world out there. There's messed up people, and I think that having a bit more control, there's always going to be workarounds, unfortunately, but having a bit more control, being able to lock down like who your kids are talking to, not able to add random phone numbers and random apps without your authorization for kids under a certain age, of course, I think is very clutch, and I'm very happy. My kid is nowhere near the point of having a phone, and we're going to delay that as long as we possibly can. But when they are, this does make me a little more leaning towards wanting them to be on iPhone, where I can control those things. Not because I'm a controlling person, because I want to keep them safe, and there's a lot of weirdos out there, let's be real. Another thing I'm really excited about is that we are going to be having the iPhone sharing mode, where you can share the app on your Mac screen. You can resize it now to any size. Now, I got roasted in the past saying on Threads when I said this is silly that we can only have like two sizes, that we can see it like a big and a small size, see your phone on screen, and people are like, that's silly, you don't know anything about development, and that's why you don't understand why you shouldn't change the size or whatever. But now you can change it to any size, so who's laughing now? But no, seriously, that is really handy, because there's some apps that only work on the iPhone, not on your Mac, or be handy to just pull it up, or you just don't want to have to pull it out. Just being able to interface with it on a bigger screen, especially if you're someone like me who has an iPhone mini, that's just really, really handy. Another new feature that they've announced at WWDC DC is they have a slider now where you can actually change the transparency, so the liquid glass, not everyone likes it. And I think this is really good. For me, I found particularly on Mac OS that when I reduced the transparency, I actually, like, my head, like my mind was feeling less fatigued at the end of the day working on it all day. There's sometimes it's just like seeing too many UI elements. It's just not great on the brain. So apparently somebody installed the beta and they found that using Sidecar, that you can now, so in the past, you can use Sidecar, which is a way to use your iPad as essentially a second monitor for your Mac, but you could only interface with any of the buttons using the Apple Pencil, which was, in my opinion, a bit bonkers. I think maybe you could use a mouse, but like Apple Pencil mouse, that's it, which is just bizarre, because I mean, it is a touch device, right? That's the benefit of being able to connect to it. And so now, apparently, according to this, if this is to be believed, you can actually touch screen interact than with your Mac, basically turning your Mac into a touchscreen. As a visual artist, as somebody who draws comics as well, I'll show you some of my comics here. This is game changing. This is what I've wanted for so long. Like if they made a touchscreen Mac, man, I would eat that up, especially if I could do the fold over 2-in-1. This is some of my comic work here from a comic that I've been working on. It's sort of a detective mystery story. These are just some pages in process that you can see. Now, I do this in a combination of both drawing on my iPad as well as using some software on my computer for some layouts and for the final inking. It's just a better software. But being able to run that using my iPad just directly in that, would that be just absolutely amazing? I mean, I do have another video all about how to use any desktop drawing app through your iPad, and that is using something like Sidecar, or on Windows with an iPad, you can use something called Easy Canvas, and that is great. It does work well, but being able to have the Sidecar where you can actually touch screen interface with everything is just, that's going to be great. The last thing that I wanted to mention about WWDC that I thought was super cool. I'm a big Apple Shortcuts guy. One of my most popular videos is this one here, Apple Shortcut Tricks You Need to Try. And I did a follow-up video, which didn't really get as much traction about, with this very unhinged anime-inspired thumbnail about, this was more of a how-to, how to make Apple Shortcuts. Apple Shortcuts are so clutch. I use them every single day. And to do all sorts of things. Again, you can watch those videos to see examples. One of the challenges is that you have to watch a how-to video like the one that I made to know how to put together an Apple shortcut that could be useful for you. Whereas now, allegedly, with the Apple Intelligence, although it seems from people who've tested the beta, the Apple Intelligence is still on a wait list. So, you know, they've been singing this song of Apple Intelligence features coming that never come for a while now. So we'll see what happens. But supposedly, you'll be able to, in plain language, tell your computer what shortcut you want it to create, and it'll just figure out all the particulars of the different components that need to go into the shortcut rather than you having to program it yourself, which I think is incredibly cool. I would absolutely just use the daylights out of that, as they say. But those are my thoughts on the WWDC from Apple, from the new things that they've announced. What were the things that you found most interesting about the Apple WWDC and all the features that they're going to be putting out? What are you most excited for? Are you going to install the beta? Not necessarily a recommendation from me unless you're a developer, but curious if you have, if you're going to, what your experiences have been. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.